Brzezinski model, the technocrat model, is much more interested in the incremental, slow kill, Fabian approach to bringing technocracy into being. So they're not going to send Homeland Security troops to round you up and put you in a FEMA camp. They'd much rather promote everybody being enmeshed in video games, the Disney gulag, the virtual reality gulag, all this kind of stuff is a much better FEMA camp in your home. They don't need the FEMA camp. It's too messy. It's a big ordeal. And so all the nonsense of all the patriot crap on the radio, that's not going to happen. They don't need to. The shadow global government is already here. And as we said, it's in the latter stages of the mopping up process to move it into the next phase, i.e. between two ages of the next age. Once you have atheism, there's not really any foundation. Anything can come and go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Welcome. What's up?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can our beloved audience hear us? Let's see what they say. So my beautiful fiance is joining us for the Holy Mountain Breakdown. By the way, it occurred to me too when we were talking about doing this to discuss other holy mountains to contrast this with, like Mount Sinai or Mount Athos. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mount Everest.
That's not a holy mountain. What are you talking about?
No, yeah. Like in Tibet, those mountains are holy in the Buddhist.
Okay, but you know what I mean. I'm saying that
Right.
the holy mountain of this movie is demonic.
Uh-huh. Yes.
The holy mountains that are actually holy are not.
Mount Zion. Yeah.
But don't they in that one part mention Everest, or they mentioned a bunch of different ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When he's given the magic circle lecture and he's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to storm these mountains.
Oh, yeah, and he's basically saying all the religions are the same.
Exactly. We'll get to that. So hold on, save all that. Shout out to Noble. We got $5 from him. Orthodox Pilgrim, shout out. He sent $5. Welcome everybody. Of course, Streamlabs is the new way to do the super chats. I've put the link in many times, so you can go there it's in the show description. It's also in the chat to do your super chat via Streamlabs, and it will gay GAE gay zombie will pop up, and he will run across the stream he'll do the running man running in place. And I will.
He's like those whammies, remember? Big bucks,
yes,
no whammies.
Yes, big bucks, big bucks, no whammies.
Yes, no whammies.
That stupid game show, exactly. I can't get that boomer era game show. How are you?
Press your luck. Good.
That's it.
That's what it's called. Yep.
So Jamie has joined me because the internet says she is an Illuminati witch, so she is here to help me decode this movie. Right?
You froze for a second. What'd you say?
I said, since you're an Illuminati witch, according to internet, you are here. You are here to help me decode this movie.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. Ha.
My specialty.
Can everybody hear Jamie okay? She's a little low for me, but let's make sure everybody can hear. I think I can I've got you turned up all the way, so maybe I'll try a little bit more. Does it sound good, everybody? And then we'll get to rocking. By the way, you can, if you want to, remember that the website is by subscription. So I have the purchase a subscription link in the show description for this episode. You can go to the website to access all of the bathed hot, smoking hot, fire content at Jay's Analysis. Good, sounds good. And then Streamlabs, if you don't know, is just the replacement for Super Chats. So it's on a different website. That's the link that I've shared many times. It's also in the show description. So you do your Super Chat that way. Basically functions the same way as before, except we get the GAE whammy zombie that runs and does the Roger Rabbit. Is it the Roger Rabbit or the Running Man? Which one is it?
The Running Man. Yeah.
Okay.
He does both, doesn't he?
Yes.
They have all
You there?
kinds of whammies.
You're freezing up.
They have a Liberace whammy.
Is your internet good? You're choppy.
You're breaking up.
Yeah,
it's
but
okay.
It's on your end because I have excellent connection.
Okay. Well,
if we have to, we might have to turn off your beautiful face. I don't know.
you have to.
I mean in real life. I don't mean on Zoom. Can you put on a mask that covers all of your, like a blank mask? Remember that there was a Twilight Zone episode we watched like that? Remember that?
Yeah.
Where they made everybody's faces look... It was like a plastic surgery predictive Twilight Zone. Remember that?
Was that the one with the pig faces?
I think so, yeah.
And ugly was normal looking and beautiful was the pig face.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
I've always been soft. It's just the soft lighting, my friend. I'm not actually a soft person. I'm soft deep down in my heart, but I also have soft lighting in here, so that's why I appear to be soft. Jamie can confirm that I'm a pure soft soy boy deep down, right?
Yeah.
The chat says I'm soft. So.
If I don't react, it's because you're skipping. I can't.
I'm gonna
hear
weep
you.
now. The chat says I'm soft.
Oh.
Okay, so super chats are Streamlabs now. Thank you guys. We've already had a few of those. Much appreciated. We got 200 nerds. I know we haven't talked about this movie. Where is your analysis of Holy Mountain? Well, I tried many times over the years to watch Holy Mountain, and I found it to be, as you can imagine, very disturbing and difficult to watch. Wouldn't you agree, Jamie? It's a gross movie. It's blasphemous.
I don't know if this is gonna work because, yeah, I don't know if I can do this
Why? Is it too choppy?
because it stopped and started again for me.
Okay, so you're gonna have to turn off your camera because your bandwidth is not gonna do well on it. So just hit the stop video part, and it should just be you audio. Do you see? Yeah, there you go. Now try it.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that better?
Is that better?
You're not choppy so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna have to
Wait a
put a
second.
picture of something up there. I can cover you up. I'll make you. What do you want to be? Do you want to be something from Holy Mountain? What do I have on my desktop? Do you want me to put? I put my face up there, and I'm just talking to me.
Do you have a picture of both of us?
No, I threw all those away. Alypius Pryor, he sends $5. He says, "Thank you for all your work, Jay. I was just brought into Orthodoxy." Thank you, man. Much appreciated. Glad to hear that. Welcome to the church. Wish we were in better times, but it is what it is. So glad to see you there. And then sometimes that sound doesn't even work. So there's like the sound for the gay zombie. He doesn't pop up. Anyway. Okay, Jamie, we'll just do it this way. We can't see your beautiful face, but we'll see my beautiful face, and it'll make up for your beautiful face.
Okay.
All right, so Holy Mountain, we know Jodorowsky is an esotericist, and we know we have to do this movie because he made, I guess, a couple, actually, of the pretty prominent esoteric and occultic films. So I want to give a caveat from the outset that I'm not recommending people watch this movie. I'm only doing it because of so many recommendations to cover the movie over the many years that we've been doing this. Because the movie, I will forewarn you, it is gross and it's pretty blasphemous in the first, 30 minutes. And then it gets weirder and weirder. But it is, you can decode it. I think we have a pretty good overall decoding of the totality of it. And of course, Jodorowsky describes himself as what does he say he is? An esoteric atheist, something like that.
And Buddhist.
Well, there's a perennialist, syncretist, all religions are the same ethos to him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely get into that.
Yeah, he studied.
You there?
Yeah, he studied under some Zen masters.
Okay, yeah. I know that there's a Sufi influence as well. That's, of course, Islamic mysticism, if you don't know. But let's get into, before we start the analysis, tell me your overall sense of the movie. How many times have you seen it? I've only seen it once. I think we've decoded it pretty well. We've read a lot of this kind of material over the years. What's your overall sense of the movie, and do you find it weird and gross and distasteful? And yet it's butt nasty, but it's also predictive.
Yes. The first time I saw it was in Austin, and it was kind of like a movie that you have to see this. It's weird, man. Like, it's trippy. You got to see it. And so all the hippies were like, got to see Holy Mountain. And I watched it, and I didn't know as much about occult and magic and stuff as the next time I watched it. I just kind of thought it was avant-garde and mystical.
Yeah.
Blasphemous for sure. I didn't enjoy the overarching narrative of Jesus as the thief.
Can you speak a little louder into the microphone? You're a little low.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, the second time I watched it, what stuck out to me was the vignettes of the planets.
Right.
Because then I was a lot deeper into the conspiracy stuff and occult stuff. And so I was watching it with, new information. And the the Planet vignettes had so much more stuff in them that I had about is predictive and weird and esoteric.
Right. Yeah, the
Third time
planet.
I watched it.
I mean, do you have notes or you don't? Do you want me to lead
Yeah,
with?
a couple, but yeah, you go.
Okay, I have like 5 pages of notes, so
Okay.
I'll lead off then. So the idea, if you don't know, the film is presenting basically in a symbolic and allegorical and alchemical phases form a story of basically a magician, a magus, teaching different adepts their way to transcend limitations, achieve apotheosis, and ascend and storm the holy mountain. Okay.
Yeah. He's the alchemist.
He is the alchemist, right? He's a magus, and so the film begins. What we're gonna see is a planetary celestial sphere journey, right? So you're gonna go through the celestial spheres of the different planets. If you don't know the ancient medieval world, they viewed the universe having these concentric spheres, which the planets rotate in, which make musical sounds. Newton even believed this. This was popular all the way up into the Renaissance period and even into the scientific revolution. I actually believe that there's probably something to that. I actually do believe that there's probably something to these different levels of spiritual worlds, so to speak. And we know that in the tradition of the angelology of the church, there are celestial powers, right? There are planetary celestial angels that relate to different things in the universe. God has created the universe with the 9 choirs of the angels and the thrones, principalities, powers, dominions, etc. rule the universe under God. So God has chosen to have regents and vice regents and co-rulers through the angels, the noetic celestial beings, that 1/3 of which rebelled against God and became the fallen angels or the demons. And they are, of course, united with Satan. This is the biblical cosmology. But what we're going to, and we need to know that, because what we're going to see when we get into Holy Mountain is the pretty standard, the typical Gnostic and / Luciferian occultic hermetic inversion of the biblical narrative, right? You agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big mishmash
Can you
of
speak up, please?
everything. I said it's a big mishmash of everything.
Right.
You're
Okay.
still
All
a
right.
little
So we're
choppy,
going to
keep
start
going.
with the celestial spheres. Okay. So here we have ceremonial magic, ritual washings, being shaven and shorn. We see people going through what will be an initiatory practice, and we
Yes.
see these phases of chemical process. Right. So there's the
Yes.
rubedo, negredo, calcification, right? The 4 stages of alchemy, and then it leads to the philosopher's stone.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the religions are in different ways pictured. So it'll be everything from like the Buddhist Om to the all-seeing eye to ancient Hindu, Vedic imagery to even quasi almost Christian iconography with it almost looks like tarot cards as icons, like an Orthodox church, but with occult icons. Remember that sequence?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you'll see all this mystic imagery of keys and all-seeing eyes and flying serpents and cubes, all of which is really just classified under the 7 planets, right, in the ancient medieval alchemical view. And we also see the tarot archetypes of the Fool. We see, don't we see a frog?
The Christ figure in there is the Fool.
Well, this is important because this will be the first important figure. So we have a Christ figure.
Yeah.
And this is the esoteric Gnostic version of who Jesus is. So this is not actually Jesus, obviously. This is the Gnostic alchemical magician version of Jesus, right? This is the idea, dude, bro, what if Jesus was like just a magician or whatever, right? Like, this has been a popular idea for a long time.
Yeah. What's interesting is in the beginning, when it pans on him, it shows him laying down and he's drunk and he's soiled himself.
Forgot it. And then there's a nugget person who smokes cigarettes.
Yeah, so he's laying in the ditch, and so this is what is the saying, like, this is not a divine person, this is just a human being like the rest of us. Right?
Yeah, he's a kind of a wandering vagabond figure who starts trying to kind of create his own little minstrel show almost. Like he's like trying to set up a vaudeville act. And he finds this nugget guy, meaning a person with no arms and legs. And he gets I don't know, how does he have cigarettes? He doesn't have arms and legs. Anyway, but he gets a cigarette from this nugget man, and he, from Micro Machines, Gub Gub, how's it go?
Test tube Gub Gub Snail Man.
Test tube Gub Gub Snail Man gives him a cigarette, and he decides that he wants that they could work together. And basically, you got hippie Jesus, right? So hippie vagabond. It's what do you call the a wook, like a festival dude?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Wook Jesus.
It's like a guy with dreadlocks. Like dirty, like a hippie kid with dreadlocks and
a dirty, stinking festival boy.
But this character you're talking about, the name of his character is called the Monster.
Oh, I didn't know that. You talking about the Nugget or the Jesus character?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we'll see that later on. He's a spirit who possesses, right? Remember when they do the exorcism?
Dang it, you're breaking up. Say that again.
Do you remember when they do the exorcism?
Yeah, on the boat.
Yeah, he's like a spirit creature.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And he's got the tarot card 5 of Swords on his back, which is like defeat.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Now I can see where to read the super chats. Okay, cool. I didn't know I could read them within my OBS dashboard. That's what I was looking for the whole time the other day. So, thank you last time to Adam and to Tony, to Midwest, to Adderhead. I did not get to those super chats the last time around, so thank you to you guys for those $5 super chats. By the way, you don't have to send $5. You can send any amount you want. Much appreciated for the existing super chats that we have been given. Okay, so what we see after this is fake hippie Jesus decides he needs to get his shtick going. He's going to make some money. And we see a series of different symbolic images and phases that present the history of Christianity, again, in the esotericist, hermetic, Gnostic guys inversion sense. It's like Jesus becomes a marketing tool, a tool for the Vatican, a tool for Constantine, a tool for fascism, right? All these different regimes utilize this, and it's pictured as a frog circus. And you remember that, don't they? Like, he blows up frogs. Remember this?
That was supposed to be the conquest of Mexico by Europe. So bringing over Christianity to indigenous people
is the noble savages are being, conquered by the evil Christopher Columbus or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because Jodorowsky grew up in Chile, and he was really against colonialism.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's just part of the whole ethos of being anti-Catholic, right? I mean, the Spain brought Catholicism, to all those areas. So he's basically just presenting it as a tool of the empire, whichever various empire in different eras of history. So that's the meaning of all these sequences of blasphemous images, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If you were wondering what all that means.
There's this scene where he down off the cross, and the fat Roman soldiers take him to the potato factory, and they make a mold of him. You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I have that in the notes next. Here's the plaster casts.
yeah, and
Right.
he wakes up and they're all around him and he's traumatized. So
Right. So Jesus in his apocalyptic vaudeville show routine that he was trying to get going. Again, I know this is blasphemous. This is the presentation of this Gnostic film. What Jesus was just kind of a vagabond dude, right? The hippie Jesus, and then he doesn't realize, like, well, man, look what they did with my religion, man. They like turned it into this thing, like oppress people. It's like a corporate thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
I believe in
And then he
Jesus.
goes in,
I believe in Jesus, not religion, man. That's what's being presented here.
He finds like a pope in bed with one of the Jesuses or something, molesting it, or
Yes, very blasphemous stuff. So beware of.
so he's like, they're corrupting
Yeah.
my message,
Beware of
man.
what.
And then
right. Beware of what we say on here. We don't want to get. Robbing old. Thank you. Whoa, robbing old folks, $100. That's a mega super chat. Thank you so much. And he says, this is for the victory in the debate with Dr. Shabir Ali. Well, much appreciated, robbing old folks. That's a hilarious name, by the way. Did you rob old folks to give me that super chat? If so, that's really based. That's a joke, by the way, before somebody tries to report that.
He's the dad from Say Anything.
Oh, yeah.
He robbed old folks.
Iona Sky's dad in Say Anything is stealing all of the old people's money and persecuting Lord Dobler. So, yes.
Yeah.
If you robbed Iona Sky's dad, then in that case it's justified. This is a justified act of Robin Hoodery. So much appreciated, robbing old folks. Robin Hood, robbery, Robin Hoodery. Robin Hood. Robin in the Hood. Anyway. Christianity is corrupted. There is, as you said, the illicit sexual stuff reference. We even see these kind of mafia figures running Christianity. They look like mobsters, basically. And we see a monkey. So this monkey accompanies the hippie fake Jesus character. There's the Mary Magdalene, who's the whore disciple, and it's just this kind of ragtag band of weirdos, right? Like a Manson type crew.
Well,
right?
he goes to the group of prostitutes. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's where he gets Mary Magdalene, right?
The organized religion. He's like, I reject this, and then he goes and hangs out with them.
Yeah, this is the misconception number one by idiots, right? Which is that. Yes, you can give super chats at the Streamlabs link. So Streamlabs is now the new super chats. People in the chat are asking, how do I give a super chat? We got demonetized, so now we have Streamlabs. What were we talking about? Hose?
Mm-hmm.
I got lost. What about the hose?
That's who he went to after he couldn't take it anymore.
Yes.
With the.
Then he decides that the world's religions are bogus. And so he decides he's going to go on a journey, I guess, right? Because we're supposed to think that this blasphemous fake Jesus character is, a truth seeker. Oh, I know what I was saying. That this is the majority of the world's mistaken idea of who Jesus was. That Jesus was a rebel, a hippie. Man, he was against the, religion of his time, man. And he just, struck out on his own, fight the system or whatever. And Jesus says the proto-communist, basically. When that's not at all who Jesus is. Jesus was the fulfillment of all of the Old Testament prophecies. He's the one who gave the Old Testament religion. He's the one who fulfills all the predictions because he's a divine hypostasis, a divine person with a fully human nature, right? So the world thinks of Jesus as the Nestorian, Aryan, hippie Jesus, right? We know that he's the second person of the Godhead. And that makes all the difference in the world, right? So he's not a hippie guy wandering around trying to figure out his purpose, man. You know, eat, pray, love, man. What do I mean, man? What do I mean, man? Right? Jamie? Hello?
Well, yeah, and then there's
Yeah, this is Eat, Pray, Love, Jesus.
Yeah, there's a scene where he tries to do a miracle, and the alchemist shows him what would happen if he fed the kids on the dock with the bread. Remember that scene?
Vaguely, yeah. And what was the point of that?
He wants to feed them, and then he gives them a vision of what would happen.
Oh, if he does a miracle.
If he does the miracle, and it's them fighting over the bread and killing each other and pushing each other
Right, so
around.
if you do the miracles for the masses, they just want to eat the bread, and they fight each other over the attachments. And so the magician is telling fake Jesus to learn the esoteric arts, man. Don't even mess with these profane masses, man. They're just going to take your message and they're going to pervert it, man. Right? So, the real Christianity is...
Yeah, because part of the Buddhism is having...
Yes, Noah. Right. So, which it's true that when Jesus was doing his public ministry, he did not have a place to lay his head. Right, Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. However, they did have a money purse. Judas was in control of that, so they actually weren't opposed to possessions. This is ridiculous. Jesus had a specific mission when he went out to preach for his ministry. Right, so he's not literally telling everybody in every age to not have anything. Right. That's ridiculous. Jesus wasn't a communist. That's what we're trying to say here. There's no socialist, communist, hippie. Jesus is a complete Gnostic fabrication. And the only people who would think that are people who are completely ignorant of the Bible.
What's interesting, when they were preparing for this movie, they lived communally for a long time before they started filming. The cast did, with Jodorowsky.
They did what?
They lived communally,
babe? Speak up.
With each other before they started filming.
You cut out. Speak up.
Yeah, you're breaking up. The cast lived communally.
Oh my gosh.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, so he's a dirty commie, right? So of course that's why he's presenting Jesus as commie Jesus. But it's not just commie Jesus.
Well, they did a lot of...
Go ahead. Go.
They did a lot of Zen stuff, Sufi stuff, yoga stuff. So They were like in a communal spiritual boot camp before they even started doing the movie.
I see. Interesting. I did not know that. So yeah, I'm glad you did.
Stayed awake for a week straight.
They what?
Isn't that crazy? They stayed awake for a week straight, it said.
No wonder. I'm sure they were doing psychedelics too, probably, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so essentially what you're doing when you're doing all this kind of stuff is trying to invoke the spiritual realm. You know, they were trying to make contact with the gods. And so let's get to this next part. So when the fake Jesus character climbs up the obelisk, this is him beginning to go on his path towards greater enlightenment, greater mystical, ascension or whatever.
Well, he wants to climb up and steal from the alchemist is what the point of that was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Like yeah.
So this is actually presenting the fool character of the tarot. So because he's just sort of bumbling into this enlightenment. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when he gets up to the top of the obelisk, there's this room and this mystical magicians, alchemists, ritual room. I don't know what you want to call it. We see Jachin and Boaz. We see the two pillars of the temple. Here it's Kabbalistic imagery. We see the square and compass. We see Kabbalistic imagery. We see two goats. We see, so the Baphomet imagery is there. Basically, all of the different traditions of what you would call esoteric, hermetic, kind of Golden Dawn type stuff, wouldn't you say? There's a sword, there's a pentacle, the staff, the chalice, the wand. We see a lot of ritual magic imagery going around us, flashing. It's almost too much to keep up with, perhaps on purpose. I think maybe Jodorowsky is trying to show you that if you go down the path of trying to decode the religious texts and symbols, you're just going to be bombarded with like endless, codes and symbols, and it never really matches up to anything, except he's going to give a kind of a presentation of where to take things. So we have imagery of Christianity, Hinduism, Tibetan Buddhism, Kabbalah, Freemasonry, alchemy, all present, as well as witchcraft and ceremonial magic.
Yep.
Is there anything you want to add on that?
Well, I thought it was interesting they had a bird in every scene.
That's true. I wonder. I didn't catch that. What do you make of that?
There's maybe an ibis kind of bird walking around. That would be Thoth, the god of magic from Egypt. There was a peacock. That's
of course,
phoenix.
the peacock in the Mandean religion represents Lucifer.
Oh, right.
Because of the pride.
Peacock in Orthodoxy is paradise.
Well, I don't think Jodorowsky is interested in the Orthodox symbology of it.
I know. I'm just saying.
But
then he takes them through the alchemical ritual where he has him poop in the jar, and he says, "This is you, and you're the excrement, and we're gonna refine you."
So yeah, we even have some of the Crowleyan elements here of the bodily fluids and this kind of stuff being used in the magical rites. And the purpose of this sequence is that the alchemist is showing him, here's what I'm going to do in the film, which is take you from these different stages of the alchemical process to the Philosopher's Stone, which is gold. So the whole point of that sequence is to produce gold. But the gold of the alchemist is not literal wealth and gold. It's, of course, psychological transformation, spiritual ascension, apotheosis, basically, right? So that sequence is kind of the intro for what the rest of the film is going to be, in my view. So to go through the alchemical process, we're going to have to go through the planetary stages. So it's a ritual initiation that preps for the stages of hermetic transformation.
Yes.
Okay. So the first...
And then when the seven powers come...
The gods, right? The planets.
He says, who are these? And he said, they're thieves like you.
Yeah, so part of what is going on here, as we'll see, and we don't want to give away the end of the movie because the full analysis will be, of course, for subscribers to Jay's Analysis. You can get the subscription link in the show description. But the first one is Venus, and they are presented like elites, basically monopolistic elites in different areas of life, like warfare or clothing and vanity. And once they became elites and got to the top of their field, they were like, well, I've had all the pleasures and all the, nookie that I can get. Now what? And so then the next thing they want is to attain godhood. They want to be apotheosized into becoming deities. Right? And so... Yeah,
so they're the 7 planets and the 7 deadly sins also correlate with them.
Exactly. So these are the planetary controlling gods or demons, basically. But I think we're supposed to view them as, at one point, humans who achieved apotheosis. So who is Venus?
Business or politics or however they got to where they got.
Right.
Because most of them were business people.
That's what I'm saying, right? So Venus, we're going to start there. Venus is in charge of clothing, comfort, beauty, vanity. And Venus's father is the demiurge. The blind. The blind creator god, basically.
Yeah. Who takes his wife's mummy around. Remember that part?
Yeah, the deaf, dumb, blind demiurge deity is the quote creator god, and his consort is Sophia, who tells him through basically sort of sexual mythology whether something can be created or not. So there's this out of accord weirdness going on with the deaf, dumb, blind creator deity, the demiurge, giving birth first to Venus. I wrote something about drugs to cause mania. Was that something that Venus was in charge of? I don't remember this. Military
no, that
industrial
was
complex. So there was
another one.
There's some connect. Okay, that's a different one. I see. But
I think that was Mars.
yeah, you're right. But Venus does make fake butts and plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And makeup. So if you ever wondered where all the fake butts and the Kardashian fake butts, that's all from predicted here in the sequence of Venus, right? So, okay, so Mars is the next one, and Mars is, of course, god of war. But this is interesting because Mars is presented as a black lesbian who has male secretaries and workers that are all cucked. And Mars, of course, sells weapons, biological warfare, and pop culture. Did you notice that pop culture is pictured as a weapon?
Yeah. Is this the one where they make the toys based on?
Yes.
They want to
Hello?
go to war with? So yeah, she said we have our giant machine and we just program that, and the people tell us who they want to go to war with in 20 years, and we make toys based on that and make them the enemy.
Right. And so I think she's the one that does no, that's not who does. Is that who does the electroshock? No, it's not. That's Saturn. Mars just sells pop culture war stuff. Remember? Hello? Hello? Jamie, are you there? Can you hear me? Hello? All right, well, if her internet is not going to be good enough, I'll have to go it alone. All right, well, I lost her, so she'll be back for the sequel for us subscribers. So, farewell, Jamie. we enjoyed your comments. It was good while it lasted, and you were very choppy. So, but maybe we can get you back for part 2 for sure. All right, so let's get back to where we're at. Mars. There's a black bed with ritual stuff, weird sexual things going on. Black lesbian with cucked male secretaries, and sells pop culture and biowarfare. So this is one area where we begin to see the film actually being kind of accurate in its analysis of what actually goes on, right? So at this point, Jodorowsky is pointing out that different areas of life in this world are all under the control, you could say, of different spirits in his view. And these different gods or spirits control different areas of life. Mars, obviously, god of war. And therefore, anything that comes under the influence of Mars in terms of warfare, propaganda, weapons, biowarfare, is all produced and controlled and run by Mars. But remember, in the Jodorowsky conception, Mars is I'm trying to move the box here. Just one second here. Oh, got it locked. No wonder it won't move. There we go. Okay. These are humans who achieved apotheosis. Okay, so, and that's going to be important for the end of the movie. Because remember, this movie does not go where you think. It didn't go where I expected. I'll put it that way. I mean, on the one hand, I wasn't surprised how it ended. I could see that now looking back as it makes sense, but I didn't think he would take the movie in that direction. But I guess once you kind of look into his worldview, it kind of makes sense why he would. So the next one is Jupiter. Jupiter is presented, of course, as one of the big gods, you could speak. And so he's presented with a giant house, right? Jupiter is huge in terms of planets. Jupiter's house is huge, full of artworks. It's an art factory. This is interesting because in this sequence, we are starting to realize that different areas of life beyond not just warfare, all areas of life kind of have monopolies that control them. And I don't know why he puts art under Jupiter, but they have everyone basically painting butts and sitting on canvases. And it's an assembly line of butt paintings. That's actually true. I mean, I did a video, a couple months ago about the ridiculousness of the art world and how that's a bunch of scammery and nonsense, and it's a tool for money laundering, obviously. And so actually Jodorowsky is illustrating that with the sequence of the assembly line avant-garde art world. Abstract, meaningless art is all present here. It's all coming out of an assembly line, and then also presented under Jupiter is the idea of technology and pleasure, robot control, and the electrogasm. This is man giving birth to machines, and then the machines giving birth to babies. And there's a little crying robot baby. It's really weird, but I think that's hinting at the rise of transhumanism. And it's this series of sequences actually that's the most revelatory in the whole film, right? So this is where we're going to get that. And we also get the presentation of the smart city and the coffin apartments. Literally a smart city with coffin apartments and selling people on how to get them to come to these coffin apartments. Where is that one? I may be ahead of myself here. Let me find that. Okay, that's going to be under Pluto. So I'm not at Pluto yet. So I got a little ahead of myself. We're still in Jupiter. But so Jupiter is presenting the control of love and sexuality eventually being under the dominance of machines. I think that comes up in Pluto as well. But I might have been watching a edited version. I'm not sure. Censored version, perhaps. Okay, so next up is Saturn. Saturn, of course, is Kronos. Saturn's customers are kids. That's interesting because what we see in this sequence is a version of Christianity, a version of the papacy with Saturnalian bishops, mitres, and symbols. We see a circus, a Santa Claus circus. Who could have predicted? Jodorowsky himself could not have predicted that within a few decades, the Vatican itself and many Roman Catholic churches would actually have circus and clown masses. So this was actually way more predictive than even he could have imagined in this sense, in this sequence. Now, why is it that the customers are children? Well, the customers are children, we learn, because Kronos' death manufactures toys that sell them on warfare. And so the toys actually train the children and prep the children to become good little soldiers and to go die in the foreign battles for the elite. Remember, we're not at planetary gods yet. We're at humans who achieved monopoly domination in different areas of life. Right? So basically the ancient world's Rockefellers is what we're talking about here. By the way, there is my Instagram. People were talking about some of the funny videos this week. If you want to watch those funny videos, follow me on my Instagram there. I'm not going to sing those songs in this sequence, in this episode. Maybe I will if you're all good to me. If you treat me right and we don't break up, maybe I will. But Kronos preps and mind controls the children. This one is the most kind of mind-blowing. This one and Pluto. Because Kronos is also interested in creating a giant AI machine that will tell people how to run politics. The AI spits out how you control the masses in politics. I thought that was pretty wild, right? I mean, we've seen this in old shows like The Prisoner, right? If you read my analysis of The Prisoner in Esoteric Hollywood, then you saw the chapter on the brain computer that number 6 fights against. And we also saw this in other old movies like what's the Michael Caine spy movie? The Michael Caine. Harry, what's his name? The Michael Caine. The Brain. You know what I'm talking about. The old Michael Caine spy movie with Harry, what's his name? Anyway, there's one of those installments is the big AI computer that will run everything. So a lot of 60s and 70s movies had that theme, which was way ahead of its time. But Saturn, and by the way, Saturn's name is Sel, S-E-L, so I think he's a play on words, selling things, selling war. Saturn is involved in selling wars, revolutions, and toys to train children to go to warfare. And the CIA and the mind control operations fall under this. Children are programmed to, from a very early age, to hate the enemy, the amorphous unknown enemy. And then through MK Ultra electroshock, they are trained to be warriors. That was pretty wild. So Jodorowsky does not get everything wrong. Next is Berg, Uranus, who's in charge of banking, and his name is Berg. Berg's wife is an old fat stripper, and they have a snake child. Snake Farm. Pretty much is. Snake Farm. Nasty. Snake Farm. That's the dumbest country song of all time, by the way. If you know what I'm talking about. That stupid Snake Farm song. That's what I thought of in this goofy sequence with the fat stripper bouncing on the fake horse. On the rocking horse ride. And then they are they're feeding milk to the snake baby. Like what? Anyway, Uranus goes and consults as financial advisor to empires, quantification, and depopulation. This is interesting because the banking elite tell the governments in this sequence how many people to depop. That was interesting. And they makes a phone call, what's the Bogdanov video, right? Where it's like, dump it, right? It's that kind of a thing. That's what that reminded me of. Next is Axon, who is Neptune, the chief of police, and collecting 1,000 testicles. This sequence is a little confusing. I'm not sure, but basically the setting up the private police enforcement, private security testicle collection. I don't even know what the meaning of that is. I don't know why. Is Jodorowsky making a feminist statement with the testicle collection? That one blew me away. And by the way, why would you want a testicle? Why would you want a 1,000 testicle collection anyway? You know what I mean? I mean, maybe it's just to show that the elite were psychopaths in their various, markets that they came to control. So if you're in the testicle market, if you have 1,000 of those, you probably have a controlling share in the ball market, in the family jewel market. But, so he's different from warfare. He's not Mars, because remember, Mars was a woman. But Axon is chief of police removing testicles. So everyone is a eunuch in his army. It reminded me of the who are the people in Game of Thrones under Khaleesi? You know, the deballed soldiers. The guy who can't love anybody, but he loves that one chick. Who are they called? You know, anyway. Yeah, I know the Borgias did that with their the popes and Borgia. They would do this with their choir boys. Really gross stuff, right? All the way up. The popes did this all the way up until like, you know, a few hundred years ago. Anyway, so that's who he represents. And then we see him send a bunch of the young initiated guys into battle. And then after that, they read the religious texts. So the warrior class, it's not the warrior class. Well, it's kind of the warrior class, but they're police. They're not under Mars. I don't know. Who knows where they came up with this stuff? The Unsullied, that's them. That's what this reminded me of. Loot seems to be a creeper deeper, if you know what I mean, because he has a bevy of young people all wearing Disney outfits, Mickey Mouse outfits, running around chasing him, acting like a creeper. I think that's what that's talking about. And he's in charge of architecture. This is where we get this weird sequence where he goes to the elite and he sells them on the idea that man doesn't need a home. Man just needs shelter. So all we have to do is convince people to come into the big megalopolis, metropolitan, cosmopolitan cities. And then we sell them on tiny living, austerity, and having a coffin apartment. And it's literally a bunch of little coffins stacked up. So you come and you get in your coffin and you just sleep there. And then you, during the day, you go out and just live for your passions, right? You just go, I don't know. I'm not going to say dirty things so people get mad. You know what I mean? You go out and have things in your butt all day, and then you go back into your coffin. And that's your whole existence, is just butts and things bouncing around everywhere. That's your whole world. This is another one of the really predictive elements. And the city is called City of Freedom. It's the cosmopolitan degeneracy world. And it's free because you won't need a house anymore. Then we come to the point where things get a little more interesting in terms of where the film diverges. Now we start going in a different direction. And we're going to get into the 9 immortal men, the 9 immortals atop the holy mountain. So now it's going to turn into something very different. And there is a sequence of planning to storm the gates of heaven, basically, right? So the holy mountain, we realize, is this mythical pinnacle that everyone needs to, well, not everybody, but the initiates, right? So the Magus guy, who's Jodorowsky, he goes and he collects the planetary gods, and he says, all right, come here, all you guys, and Jesus, fake hippie Jesus, let me tell you what's really going on. All right, you're all at the top of your fields, you're all seeking enlightenment, you all want more immortality. That's all that's left. To live forever is the goal, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. And the way to do it is to go dethrone the 9 immortal secret world controllers who live atop the holy mountain. And the only reason they're up there is because they figured out all the mystic secrets. And all we have to do is track them down and unseat them, and we will be the 9. Of course, 9 does have a direct relation to initiation. It's an initiatory related number. When people do channeling in terms of this, like Gene Roddenberry was in the circles of all these weirdos doing channeling, talking to the council of the 9 entities and all this nonsense. And what do the entities all say? Oh, we got to have a world government and we got to have one world religion and everybody needs to die. It's always the same message, but people can't figure out that it's demons telling people this. I just covered, by the way, what did we just cover in last night's, or 2 nights ago's talk from the Global Elite Book Series? We did the Millennium book and we did the John C. Lilly book. Tim Leary in both of those. And what did we see Tim Leary say? Tim Leary said that John C. Lilly is like Aleister Crowley. He's the, what do you call him? Like, he says Crowley and Lilly are the Columbuses and the Magellans of the psyche, man, you know. And you laugh at that, but this is no joke. I mean, Leary is saying that Crowley and the storming of heaven idea of the new aeon, that's what we're going to bring in, he says. That's what this is all about. That's what John C. Lilly is working for, Leary says. Openly. So that is going to relate directly to the message, the Luciferian message of Holy Mountain. All right, so we've gone for over an hour. The second hour will be the second half of the film, which is the ascent of the Holy Mountain and the curious ending. And welcome to Caitlin Irvin. A shout out to Caitlin Irvin. Much appreciated for that super chat. And don't see any more super chats, but oh yeah, I forgot the Nazgul, right? There's the 9 as well in that. Tim Burton's movie 9. Actually, we did an episode, I think we covered 9. We did a Hollywood Decoded. We did, that's right. That was one of the ones I think that got cut. We did a Hollywood Decoded and we covered, or 9 was going to be in season 2. I can't remember, but yes, I have seen 9. I've decoded it. So I'm aware of that. I don't know why Caitlin's super chat doesn't show up here. Let's refresh this. What's up, Robin? Oh, that's his. I just refreshed it. I didn't take another $100, dude, I promise. But Caitlin's isn't showing up. That's okay. I'm still navigating Streamlabs, but we've got it working now and we can see what people say now. So at least we've gotten that far. We progressed from last time. All right. So if you want to hear the rest of the explanation of this weird, gross movie, butt nasty movie, you can subscribe to Jay's Analysis at the subscription in the show description, and that will give you access. And then I will compare also other holy mountains. Why a mountain? Right? What in religions is it about mountains? Why does this matter? Was Eden actually on a mountain? Interesting thesis here. Mount Sinai. Jesus on Mount Sinai. Mount of Olives. Mount Athos. Mountains are important. And this holy mountain is not a holy mountain. When will I sing some Stone Temple Pilots? Very soon. Very soon. On the next Goofy stream, I guess. If you want to hear that, I'll do that for you guys. All right. Thank you. And if you want to hear part 2, feel free to subscribe at Jay's Analysis. We'll get into the meaning, the full meaning and explanation. And we might hit on some of the other stuff too, like the Jodorowsky Dune and that kind of thing. Or I might do a whole other episode on Jodorowsky's Dune. I don't know. But thank you guys for tonight's fun times. And much love, peace, and God bless.